Most people wouldn't spend 500 bucks on an air fryer unless they knew this. Brands like Ninja hope you never find this video because they want you hooked. At first, everything's great, but fast forward 18 months, you're stuck with uneven heat, longer cook times, and caked on grease that won't come off. They're betting you'll toss it and just buy another one. Don't do that. Instead, watch this Typhur Dome 2 review. I spent 31 days testing this machine so we can see if it's worth paying extra for the BMW of air fryers. But first, there's gotta be a reason why this air fryer costs more. So air fryers are supposed to make things crispy with less oil, but it's not that simple. Sometimes you have to keep flipping your food or shaking your fries, and the truth is, most air fryers are all built the same. They have these tall and narrow baskets with heating elements at the top. This blasts hot air from the top down. The top of your food gets a nice crisp, while the bottom can get soggy and undercooked. That's why you need to constantly open the drawer, shake, and flip the food. But this is where the Typhur Dome 2 takes a different approach. Instead of a drawer that's tall and skinny, the Dome 2 has a drawer that's wide and shallow. It's 12.6 inches long and wide with a height of 2 inches. And instead of just one heating element at the top, they've added a second one to the bottom. That means faster cook times, more even heat, crispier results, and less flipping. By the way, there's a link in the description below for the Typhur Dome 2. I'll keep it updated with the best discount so you can save as much money as possible. If you use it, I'll earn a small commission, but it doesn't cost you a thing and it helps support the channel. Now, cooking is the easy part. It's the grease, the smells, and the stuff that's dripping on your food that nobody warns you about. No matter which air fryer you get, grease is gonna splatter into hard to reach areas. And let's be honest, if you're not cleaning it constantly, that gunk builds up fast. Cleaning near the top of the burner becomes a freaking nightmare. And here's where it gets worse. When the grease gets reheated, it smells and can give off harmful compounds like acrolein, PHA, and aldehydes. Over time, this can lead to DNA damage, inflammation, and increased risk of cancer. If you haven't deep cleaned your air fryer in months, these compounds are probably dripping on your food. And if you're lazy when it comes to cleanup, I don't blame you. Cleaning the top part of an air fryer is tedious work. Check out this guy on Reddit who spent 3.5 hours cracking the code. If only he knew about this. The Typhur Dome 2 is the only air fryer with a self-clean mode that isn't a gimmick. Inside the dome is a non-toxic material that when combined with heat, vaporizes 90% of the grease like magic. Here's a before and after so you can see how well it works. Apart from easier cleanup, there's another reason why the Dome 2 costs more than most air fryers, and most companies hope you never find out about this. Some cheap air fryers use non-stick coatings, and when these coatings wear down, they can leach PFAS into your food. Studies have linked them to hormone disruption, liver damage, and even increased risk of cancer. The Dome 2 uses a PFAS-free ceramic non-stick basket, so it's easy to clean with no harmful chemicals. Now, all that seems pretty sweet, but do these improvements actually matter, or is it just marketing nonsense to get you to pay more money? Well, we're gonna put that to the test with some guilt-free cookies, pizza, wings, a whole chicken, and a juicy ribeye steak. But before we do, here's a quick rundown of how the machine works. On the front is a set of buttons for pizza, bacon, steak, wings, air fry, toast, grill, and reheat. It's also got these arrows so you can adjust the time and temperature. If you don't see a setting you want, don't freak out. You just pair the Dome 2 with your phone using the app, and then this will give you access to all the cooking modes. Here are all the presets, and this is where you'll find the self-clean. The first one we tested was pizza. Everyone says you can make pizza in an air fryer, but what they forget to mention is that sometimes the cheese burns, toppings fly around from the actual hot air circulating, and the bottom of the crust gets soggy. But is that the case for the Dome 2? The shape of this air fryer looks like it was practically designed for pizza. To find out, we started with a pack of masa from the supermarket, rolled it out, poked holes in it to keep it from puffing up. We spread tomato sauce followed by mushrooms, herbs, and solid handful of mozzarella. Before anything went in, we hit the pizza preset. The 3 modes that require preheating on the Typhur Dome 2 are gonna be pizza, steak, and bake. And then once you hit a preset, it should show you the amount of time on the screen that it needs to preheat. In this case, it was 8 minutes. The tricky part is moving the pizza into the drawer without burning your hands. Pizza peel works, but parchment paper is way easier. At this point, we weren't totally sure what we'd get. I was starting to get nervous thinking that we'd either get a crust that's soggy or as hard as a brick. Now, did the crust cook evenly, or were we just setting ourselves up for disappointment? Just before the 3-minute mark, we pulled it out and it looked incredible. We topped it off with prosciutto and a handful of arugula. I couldn't wait to sink my teeth into the crust. Its edges had a nice golden brown crisp, and we made this exact pizza before in the oven, but the crust always turns into like a crunchy kind of tortilla chip. But with the Typhur, it was more balanced with a soft interior and slightly crunchy exterior. Next up, we got wings. First, we added some fresh garlic and ginger to a bowl, then a quarter cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, a squeeze of half of a lime, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, and finally 2 tablespoons of sriracha for some heat. To help the sauce coat, we stirred about a tablespoon of flour to thicken it slightly. Then we poured half of the sauce directly over the raw wings and gave them a toss. If you have a big family and you love to cook larger batches, you're gonna love this next part. I placed 13 chicken wings, but the capacity is huge, so you could probably get away with 25 at a time. You just wanna make sure that you don't overcrowd them. I popped them in and hit the wings button. There was no preheat on this one, so it saved me some time, but then it got me thinking, would skipping the preheat throw off the cooking? Like, would we end up with some soggy bottom chicken wings, or would the wings be raw while others are burnt? While they cooked, I simmered the leftover sauce on the stove just to thicken it up, and then the timer finally hit 0. Check the tray. The wings were golden. I didn't even flip them once, and every wing looked evenly cooked all the way through. We poured the rest of the thickened sauce and gave them a mix. The flavor came out perfect. It was sweet, salty with a bit of spice, and the meat on the bones was juicy. They weren't as crispy as I would have hoped, but honestly, that's on me. I forgot to pat them dry and add a bit of baking powder beforehand, which I've read makes a massive difference, but there weren't any weird burn marks, raw bits, or smoke pouring from the machine. So far, so good. Okay, so now I've got this expensive $20 ribeye patted dry and ready to go. I sure as heck don't want to waste this. I'm just gonna hit the steak preset and then let the machine preheat. When in steak mode, Typhur uses only the bottom burner. It's supposed to give you a caramelized crust while keeping the interior tender, but does it work as advertised? I salted both sides and waited for the preheat timer to beep. Then I tossed the steak in and realized I made a massive error. The timer was set to 10 minutes, which was way too long for this thin cut. I didn't notice until we were 2 minutes in, so I flipped it fast, hoping to salvage it. Then I let it go for another 3 minutes like a bonehead, before eventually pulling it out. At that point, I wasn't sure what I'd get. Did I overcook my extremely expensive ribeye? Was the crust going to be burnt? Well, I pulled it out. The browning looked great on both sides. Cutting into the steak, it came out about medium well. I probably overcooked it by about a minute, but honestly, I was expecting worse. The fat rendered perfectly, soaking in and giving it a deep buttery richness. Another month of practice with the help of the Typhur Sync 1 thermometer, the Dome 2 can probably cook you a perfect steak every time. This one was just my fault. This next test was a challenge. Some troll said you can't cook a whole chicken in the Dome 2. He even went as far as to say that it's useless unless you warm up frozen food. So I said, screw it. Let's test it out. Obviously, a whole chicken is too tall for the drawer on this thing, so what you have to do is you spatch it. We cut the chicken right down the middle, pressed on it and flattened it out. Then I slathered some seasoning on top. After laying it down flat, I poured about a half cup of water to prevent it from drying out. I was worried that the top of the chicken would be too close to the burner, and turns out Typhur has this lip at the top that prevents the food from touching the heating element. I slid the bird in and then hit the roast button on the app. After about 45 minutes, I took it out and here's what we got. It smelled absolutely incredible the entire time it was cooking, and I think this video speaks for itself. I've done whole chickens in the oven and I don't think they've come out nearly as good as. Next up, we got healthy protein cookies. I'm not gonna go through all the ingredients, just know that the base is chickpeas. We got some peanut butter, chocolate chips, and maple syrup in here. I blended all that together and then I went in the Typhur app and pressed the bake button. I set it to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes and basically just let the machine run for 5 to preheat. We put down some parchment paper, scooped out our cookies, and added some extra chocolate chips. After 10 minutes of baking, this is what we got. Crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. Now, after 31 days of cooking with the Dome 2, you start to get a feel for where it falls short. These are the things you should absolutely know before buying the machine. At $500 retail, this is one of the most expensive air fryers on the market. You could buy 2 cheap air fryers for the price of one of these. Now, I'm a big believer you get what you pay for, and the Typhur Dome 2 is a higher quality air fryer, but it is more pricey. And that's not the only drawback. Let's say you use the bake function a lot. Well, there's no bake button on this machine. So what you have to do is you have to whip out your phone and go into the app and press the bake button in the app. It's a little bit more inconvenient, and I would like to have all of the modes on the machine itself or be able to customize these, but there's no way to do that. And there's one change that some people might have a hard time getting used to. For wings, pizza, and anything flat, the shallow basket with the dual burner gives you a nice crisp on both sides. But here's where things kind of go wrong. For large briskets and big potatoes, they're probably too tall for this basket and they're not gonna fit. For whole chickens and turkeys, you're gonna have to spatch them like I showed before. Spatching does add an extra step in the process, and I guess if you're really lazy, you might not like that. And because the basket is wide and hot, it's tricky to find a safe place to set it down. You need ample counter space. I mean, just look at this thing in relation to my body. It's pretty big. The machine also weighs 20 pounds, so it's a bit heavier than most air fryers. Between you and me, none of those were deal breakers, and after 31 days, here are a few things that really stood out to me. While the Typhur Dome 2 is bigger and heavier, it fits way more food on a single layer. You can spread out large quantities of food, and it applies even heating so things don't get soggy. If you're someone who loves the idea of cooking large batches, this might be perfect for you. If you like to buy frozen food, it also works great for that too. Most air fryers get grimy fast and stay that way. The ceramic tray in this thing is easy to wipe and actually stays looking new. The areas around the heating element are easy to reach with a cloth, and the self-clean mode vaporizes most of that grease so your air fryer doesn't get disgusting after months of use. It's much easier to keep clean than most air fryers. This next part shocked the heck out of me. Some air fryers sound like a leaf blower on your countertop. With the Typhur Dome 2, I had to triple check to see if it was actually running. The fan is smooth and the buttons don't beep loudly, and the whole thing just feels premium. You can cook as many late night pizzas without waking up your grumpy partner. Listen, I'm not a professional chef. I'm not someone who likes to cook all that much, but I've been using the Typhur Dome 2 about 4 to 5 times per week. My girlfriend and I are super impressed with this thing, and I genuinely feel like it makes cooking more fun and creates less dishes. We've got busy schedules, so large capacity drawer is perfect for meal prep. And yes, it's a bit pricey, but the quality, speed, and features make it worth every cent. If you're looking to save some money, check the link in the description below. I'll keep it updated with the best discount on the internet.